Setting your game mostly in the brains of others kind of requires some creativity when it comes to level design. Double Fine's action platformer Psychonauts, initially released in 2005 on the PC, PlayStation 2, and original Xbox by Majesco, suffered a troubled development cycle and a dwindling interest in its genre. But brain spelunking through a Saturday morning cartoon world proved to be enough of a hit with a subsection of players to make Psychonauts one of gaming's biggest cult hits. Players take on the role of Rasputin, or Raz as he prefers to be called, a circus runaway who infiltrates the Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp. The camp acts as a training ground for psychically gifted children, or psychedets, to become spies of the brain-invading kind, known as Psychonauts. So naturally, most of the game's various levels take place in the gray matter of the characters Raz encounters throughout the world. Every brain you explore in Psychonauts is layered with neurological puns and psychological metaphor, but no frontal lobe comes close to the wondrous mania on display in The Milkman Conspiracy.
Huh? Who are you working for?
What? I'm with the Psychonauts.
The who? Oh, that doesn't fit in. That doesn't fit in at all. Maybe I've got this all wrong.
Raz first enters into the Milkman Conspiracy through the mind of an addled guardsman, Boyd Cooper, outside the gates of an asylum where a fellow Psychonaut is being held captive. Raz attaches the small door that grants him access into other people's brains to the back of Boyd's neck and tumbles into a dank living room covered in newspaper clippings. Boyd remarks on how his investigation is almost complete, exposing the Milkman as the central figure to some sinister, unknown plot. There is no door to exit the newspaper-strewn house until you open the refrigerator. Inside, Raz finds the clairvoyance ability and a matching merit badge, which allows you to see through another character's eyes. Using it on Boyd, the house is suddenly lit by glowing arrows and note scribbles. One of these hastily written notes suggests that the Milkman is dead, or at least has been reported as such.
The Milkman's dead? Ah, crud.
The door to the outside appears, and Raz is tasked with going to the graveyard to find the Milkman's corpse. Exiting with the warnings of being watched, Raz enters into a 50s-esque suburban neighborhood bent onto itself. Streets and houses curve up into the air and fold in all directions. Eyes peer from under trash can lids, mailboxes, and blinds. Surveillance cameras pop out from lawn flamingos and fire hydrants. The neighborhood lane Raz follows acts on a peculiar sense of gravity, keeping the young psychodet on the ground even when said surface is bent sideways in the air. Most everyone in the Milkman Conspiracy, save for Raz, Boyd, and the Girl Scout, or more appropriately, Rainbow Squirt cookie sales force, are G-men, ineptly trying to act as civilians. One G-man uses a receiver as a dumbbell, another is playing as plunger like a trumpet. All of them also spout small talk relating to their positions, remarking about pie flavors and waste management in equally dead voices.
Stop. Road crew workers only beyond the yellow line.
You guys are road crew workers?
Yes, we work on the road with these red signs.
I see.
Raz can traverse across gaps in the sky to other cul-de-sacs stretching nearby, entering into houses to uncover more G-men, collectibles, and/or props granting access to restricted areas. After finding some flowers to enter the graveyard, Raz burns off some vines blocking the door to the Milkman's mausoleum. The book he finds inside leads Boyd to conclude that the book depository is the next location to visit, giving Raz a fake sniper rifle to fit in amongst the G-men assassins there. Finding a plunger in a dark office grants the player access to the sewer path toward the book depository. An army of G-men posing as assassins stand between Raz and the depository building, with an unknown sniper taking potshots at Raz if he doesn't use his shield ability at the right time. A Rainbow Squirt sales kid waits for the psychodet at the top floor and quickly leaps to her death without revealing anything, taking out a few G-men with a suicide box of cookies below. Hijacking the view of a helicopter pilot through clairvoyance, Raz discovers the resting place of the Milkman in an underground facility on a remote island in the neighborhood. The psychodet grinds on some nearby telephone wires to the house resting atop the facility. it turns out to be the base of the Rainbow Squirts, who include the protection of the Milkman as part of the sacred oath of their order.
Oh, hello there. Have you come to pay for your rainbow treats? We knew you would.
A group of G-Men arrive at the island base along with the game's more pervasive enemy type, the thought-attacking sensors, setting off the Rainbow Squirt's more aggressive side.
The milk is not ready, and you are not ready for the milk!
Fighting his way into the Milkman's resting chamber, Raz engages a Rainbow Squirt den mother in the level's boss fight. Defeating her awakens the Milkman, a hypnotized Boyd, who ascends to the battlefield of Rainbow Squirts and G-Men with his Molotov milk bottles and delusional rage.
Special delivery today.
Raz is abruptly ripped from Boyd's mind, who assumes the Milkman persona and opens the asylum gates to continue his rampage in the real world.
I am the Milkman. My milk is delicious.
Boyd? Are you okay?
Time for the final delivery to this address.
Hey, is that milk regular kind? Or the exploding dream kind?
It's fortified with what the world wants. What the world deserves.
Are you sure you don't want to just talk about this, Boyd?
On a pure gameplay level, Psychonauts was one of the first times that many people got to play with the idea of moving between and adjusting to different fields of gravity. This was 2 years and an entire console generation before Super Mario Galaxy toyed with gravitational pull more substantially. The brief hang time players felt as they transitioned from one street level to an inverted one was a revelation for most. The second it took the camera to adjust to the new center of the screen sold the experience even more. More than a first-time flirtation with the idea of magnetic forces, the Milkman conspiracy is the strongest triumph of Psychonauts' use of level design as characterization. An entire monologue about conspiracies and their relationship to psychopathy is being had throughout the stage, often in plain sight. What we expect to be the anarchic goop of a demented mind is actually a once-stable vision of suburbia, which grows more twisted and bent as we explore, while still retaining its innocent appearance. The omnipresence of the G-Men speaks to an all-consuming mistrust of the world, the common fear the more unhinged conspiracy theorists have that everyone is somehow shady and out to get them. Boyd, at least in his Milkman state, sees everyone, housewives, plumbers, telephone repairmen, and even grieving widows, as thinly masked shadow operatives desperate for his precious research. The G-Men's failure to even remotely disguise themselves seems to be an allusion to the common chant of the tinfoil hat wearers that everything is so plainly obvious. Think the stereotypical line, "How am I the only one seeing this? It's right in front of you, sheeple."
Cutting the bush does not hurt it.
More obvious conspiratorial references include the book depository and the long-range rifle, both things highly associated with the JFK assassination, an event still mired in multiple conversations about secret plots and magic bullets. The Milkman conspiracy is also where we get our first grasp at an underlying morality to Psychonauts. Our gift of the clairvoyance ability becomes a useful tool for solving the level's puzzles, but also drives home the game's theme of discovering empathy. Particularly exploratory players can find the hidden backstory of each mind they dive into, often revealing a truer version of a character than what their dialogue would tell you. We constantly learn new ways on how Psychonauts' cast views their shared world, and Raz himself, the short child appearing as a city-destroying monster to a terrified lungfish, for example. The clairvoyant ability is that idea condensed into a single mechanic, showing how everyone else in the game views Raz as he runs by. The theme of a sleeping mind also manifests itself throughout the level. The Milkman conspiracy is the only stage in the game where players can repeatedly face the Nightmare, a functionally optional boss set in a hellish landscape. The Milkman persona being locked away in an eternal slumber is Boyd Cooper's way of keeping a side of his personality in check, inactive and dormant. His conspiratorial rants about the Milkman are a method for his addled brain to process why this part of him exists. Players that found the 2 hidden memory vaults in the level find out why the Milkman came to be in Boyd's mind, and it isn't a pleasant story. The idea of the Milkman was implanted in Boyd Cooper after he was put away in a psych ward after losing his job as a security guard. Boyd was hypnotized in his padded room, and he subconsciously connected the Milkman image through milk and cookie associations made while he was mesmerized. What made the Milkman conspiracy memorable when we all got our hands on Psychonauts was mechanical, our first playtime with gravity and a bunch of funny men in trench coats. But the level design that has become the game's lasting legacy was at its peak in Boyd Cooper's demented suburbia. What began as an exploration of a conspiratorial mind gave way to the knowledge that we helped re-release a violent man's chaotic and splintered personality. He is the Milkman. His milk is delicious.
What do you think, Boyd? You ready to blow this popsicle stand?
The milkman has completed his route.